Dear fourth semester student, today I will discuss on the sericulture part with special reference to our Bombyx Mori. So, first of all, what is sericulture? It is the commercial rearing of silk, producing silkworm, and it is an agro-based industry comprising of three main components, that is cultivation of food plants of silkworm, rearing of silkworm, and reeling and spinning of silk. The first two are agricultural and the last one is an industrial component, that is technical division. So in sericulture industry, it involves independent rural, semi-urban and urban based activities in which estimated participation of women is about 60%, and thus in contrast to any other agro based profession, the role of women in sericulture industry is dominating, and this will be helpful for improving the status of women in the society also. So coming back to the or to the syllable part, there are four varieties of silkworm in India, and according to the silk produced by the silkworm, the sericulture is classified into mulberry culture, Tasar culture, Muga culture, and Ericulture. So, for coming next to the classification part of mulberry silkworm, it belongs to phylum Arthropoda, class Insecta, order Lepidoptera, family order Lepidoptera. Up to this much, the silkworm classification, the classification of various different silkworm are same. But after that, when we are in a discussion for Bombyx mori, then the family belongs to Bombycidae, then genus Bombyx and the species Bombyx mori. Now there are also different kinds of Bombyx species which are present, which are present and connected to the cultivation of mulberry silk are basically Bombyx meridionalis, Bombyx textor, Bombyx fortunatus, Bombyx sinensis, and definitely the Bombyx mori. Now coming to the types of silk, here mulberry silk produced by the silkworm Bombyx mori, and its host plant is Morus alba, Morus indica, Morus latifolia, and its distribution is basically Europe, China, and USA. But now it's distributed in India also. Then coming to the tropical Tassar silk, its silkworm is Antheria milita, and host plant is Terminalia species, and it is distributed in the tropical forest zone ranging from Bihar, Jharkhand, Karnataka. Then coming to the temperate Tassar silk, and the where the silkworm is Antheria rulale and Antheria hirolale, and their host plant is basically the oak plant, and it's distributed in they're distributed in South Himalayan region and northeastern part of India. Then coming to the Muga silk, which is very close to us because it's a silk from the northeastern India part. The silkworm of Muga silk is Antheria assamensis. Antheria assamensis. Here the name is not clear due to some technical fault. Antheria assamensis, and the host plants are Machillas bombicina, Lichia, polyantha. That is the swallow plant, and it is distributed in Brahmaputra Valley only. Next, coming to the AD silk, its silkworm is Philosemia ricini, and the host plant is castor, that is Ricinus communis plant, and is distributed in Assam and eastern parts of India. Now, coming to the life cycle part of the mulberry silkworm, that is Bombyx mori. The life cycle of silkworm consists of 4 stages, that is the adult, egg, larva and pupa. So eggs are first we'll discuss on the eggs of Bombyx mori. The eggs are here of 2 types. Number 1 is diapause type, and number 2 is non-diapause type. Diapause type means hibernating type. The eggs laid by the silk moth inhibiting in temperate regions only, whereas the non-diapause or non-hibernating eggs produced by the silk moths inhabiting in subtropical regions like India. The duration of life cycle is actually 6 to 8 weeks depending upon the racial characteristics and climatic condition. Then uh, here multivoltine races found in tropical areas have the shortest life cycle with the egg. Larval, pupal and adult stages lasting for 9 to 12 days, 20 to 24 days, then 10 to 12 days and 3 to 6 days respectively. Here 7 to 8 generations are produced in multivoltine races. Multivoltine races means যেখানে বছরে অনেকবার লাইফ সাইকেল কমপ্লিট হয়। In univoltine races, the egg period of activated egg may last for 11 to 14 days, the larval period 24 to 28 days, the pupal period 12 to 15 days, and the adult stage, that is 6 to 10 days. In nature, the univoltine races produce only one generation during the spring, and the second generation of eggs goes through a period of rest or hibernation. প্রথম একবার একটা জেনারেশন প্রডিউস হওয়ার পরে যে ওরা যে এগগুলো ডিম পারে সেই ডিমগুলো হাইবারনেশনে চলে যায়, শীত ঘুমে চলে যায় টিল দ্য নেক্সট স্প্রিং। তো নেক্সট স্প্রিং যখন আসে, স্প্রিং আসার পরে ডিমগুলো ফুটে নতুন লার্ভা বেরোয়। And in case of bivoltine races, the second generation eggs do not hibernate and hatch within 11 to 12 days and produce second generation normally during the summer, and it is a third generation eggs which undergo hibernation and hatches in the next spring, and thus producing 2 generation in 1 year. Next, coming to the part of typical life cycle. Here egg is round and white in color. The weight of newly laid 2000 egg is about 1 gram. And it measures about 1 to 1.3 millimeter in length and 0.9 to 1.2 millimeter in width. With time, the eggs become darker and darker. races producing white cocoons lay pale yellow colored eggs, while the races producing yellow cocoons lay deep yellow colored eggs. In case of hibernating eggs laid by bivoltine and univoltine races, the egg color changes to dark brown or purple with the deepening of color of the serosal pigments. So I told earlier about the diapause and non-diapause types of egg. Those egg hatches out normally uh, sorry, those egg hatches out in the first stage of sericulture process and in a controlled environment where female moth deposits about 400 eggs at a time, and hatching of egg is normally done by spreading eggs over shallow trays. ট্রের মধ্যে এগগুলোকে স্প্রেড করে রাখা হয় যেখান থেকে ওরা ফুটে লার্ভা বের হয়। The eggs are kept in hatching shed which is closely regulated at 80 degree Fahrenheit for about 8 to 10 days. যেখানে এগুলোকে স্প্রেড করে রাখা হয় সেই জায়গাটার বা সেই ঘরটার টেম্পারেচারকে মেনটেন করে রাখা হয় 80 ডিগ্রি ফারেনহাইটের মধ্যে ফর 8 to 10 days, and finally the tiny eggs are hatched into larvae or caterpillars. Now this is the time of larval stage or the feeding period. It is feeding period because once the eggs are hatched out, the larvae are placed in huge trays and fed huge amount of chopped mulberry trees. Okay, during this stage the silkworm do nothing but eat only. After about 30 to 35 days since it was hatched, it stops eating and changes color to greenish white and filled with liquid silk. Okay, so here one thing we must have to remember, that the fifth larva makes quick round movements of its head at the rate of 65 movements per minute while spinning its cocoon. Okay, the larval stage, fifth larval stage, consists a pair of silk gland which are greatly developed, about 4 times the body's length, and folded enormously in the hind gut. The silk glands are actually labial glands and homologous to the salivary gland. Anteriorly, each gland opens into the salivary duct, and both ducts unite and open at the apex of spinneret. স্পিনারেটের মাধ্যমেই হচ্ছে বডির ভেতর থেকে সিল্ক গ্ল্যান্ড থেকে সিল্কগুলো সালাইভারি সিল্ক গ্ল্যান্ড কানেক্টেড হলো এসে সালাইভারি গ্ল্যান্ডে, সেখান থেকে থ্রো দ্য স্পিনারেট বডির বাইরে সিল্ক থ্রেডস অর সিল্ক বাইরে বেরিয়ে আসে। Then the silk gland is composed of a single layer of secretory cells bearing branched nuclei, internally lined by cuticle and externally by peritoneal membrane. And this gland has 3 parts, that is anterior silk gland, middle silk gland which is the secretory part, and the posterior silk gland. Where anterior part has no secretory function, posterior part and middle part secrete sericin protein, and posterior part secrete fibroin and P25 protein. Now, the spinning the cocoon, the silkworm starts spinning of cocoon and liquid silk secretion extrude from both the glands. This is a viscous color. This is a viscous and clear liquid and is forced through the openings on the mouth part of the larva, hardened on exposure to air and form fine filaments. A second part of the gland nearby secretes a gummy binding fluid called pseudocin, which binds two filaments fibrinoins together steadily over the next 3 to 4 days. And this time the silkworm rotates its body into a figure 8 movement over some 3 lakhs times, constructing a cocoon and thus producing about a mile of silk filament. Next, coming to the pupal stage, the caterpillar then changes from larva to pupa in this condition, and it sleeps about 18 to 20 days, then it left undisturbed and transforms into moth. Okay, here pupa is the inactive resting stage of silkworm. Pupaর কোনো কাজ নেই, পুরো রেস্টেই থাকে. It is a transitional period during which definite changes takes place. Metamorphosis হয় তখন. During this period, the biological activity of larval body and its internal organ undergo a complete change and assume a new form of adult moth. The mature silkworm passes through a short transitory stage of prepupa before becoming a pupa. During the prepupal stage, dissolution of the larval organs takes place, which followed by formation of the adult organ. Soon after the pupation, the pupa is white and soft but gradually turns brown to dark color and the pupal skin becomes harder. So the pupa is covered within a thick oval white and yellow silken case called the cocoon, which is made up of the silk filaments, and the pupal period may last for 8 to 14 days, after which the adult moth emerges, slitting through the pupal skin and piercing the fibrous cocoon shell with the aid of the alkaline salivary secretion. ওদের মুখের যে অ্যালকালাইন সালাইভারি সিক্রেশনটা থাকে সেটা দিয়ে ওরা কোকুন শেলটাকে ছিদ্র করে কোকুন শেল থেকে বাইরে বেরিয়ে আসে in normal condition. Next, coming to the point of this adult stage, it is the stage where the adult of Bombyx mori is about 2.5 cm in length and pale creamy white in color. After emergence of the adult is incapable of flight because of its feeble wings and heavy body. It doesn't feed during its short adult life, and the body of moth has general plan of insect body organization. Okay, the moth is unisexual and shows sexual dimorphism. In male, 8 abdominal segments are visible, while in female 7 abdominal segments are visible. The female has comparatively smaller antennae. Its body and the abdomen are stouter and larger, and it's generally less active than the male. Just after the emergence, male moths copulate with the female for about 2 to 3 hours and die after that. The female starts laying eggs just after copulation, which is completed within 24 hours. And the eggs are laid in clusters and are covered in a gelatinous secretion of the female moth. Next is our silk. So what is silk? It is the strongest natural textile in the world, also called the queen of fibers, and it is a natural protein fiber of animal origin. Instead of being grown in the form of hair, it is produced by insects in the form of continuous fine strands of fibers called as filaments to build cocoon. It is a secretion that given out by the silkworm in the form of a sticky fluid, which dries up sticky fluid of their salivary gland, which dries up by exposure to air and forms long continuous thread. It is long, smooth and strong and has a natural luster which makes it the most attractive of all the textiles. That is why it is considered as the queen of fabrics. So the composition of silk is composition of mulberry silk. Here is, it contains fibrin about 70 to 75%, sericin about 25 to 30%, waxy substances 2 to 3%, natural colors 1 to 1.5%, mineral matter 0.5 to 1%, and added impurities, lubricants and softener used during weaving and oil stains. This is different, but the basic composition is fibrin, sericin, waxy substances, natural color and mineral matter. Okay, then coming to the economic importance of mulberry silkworm. The fine delicate, first of all, the fine delicate clothes are prepared from the silk threads, and the raw silk is used in the manufacturing industry of woven materials, and the knitted fabrics for the preparation of garments, parachutes, parachute cords, fishing lines, ships, for flour mills, then insulation oil for telephones and wireless receiver, and tires of racing cars. Silk threads are also exported outside India, and India gets a large foreign exchange by the silk export. Then the silk gut is also used in the preparation of surgical and fishing gears. For preparing the gut, the intestine of silkworms are extracted, made into strings, dried, treated and packed. And this is a good prospect for the sericulture industry, and it is highly growing in Italy, Spain, Japan, India. So after that, next is our diseases of silkworm. Diseases of silkworm includes the pebrine disease, which is also known as paper disease or corpuscle disease. The disease is caused by a sporozoan, Nosema bombycis. The main source of infection is food contaminated with spores, and infection can be carried from one larva to the another by spores contained in feces or liberated in other ways by the moths carrying the infection. So pebrine Pebrinized eggs easily get detached from the egg cards. They may be laid in lamps. The eggs may die before hatching. The larva shows black spots. They may become sluggish and dull, and the cuticle gets wrinkled. Pupa may also show the dark spots, and moths emerging from the fibrinized cocoons have deformed wings and distorted antennae. Next is the disease Flatchery. It is a bacterial disease, and in sometimes it is also a viral disease. The bacterial disease, or it is a bacterial disease of digestive system due to the poor supply of quality mulberry leaves. The digestive physiology of the silkworm is disturbed, and multiplication of bacteria occurs in the gastric cavity. The bacteria like Streptococci, E. coli, etc., have been found associated with this disease, and symptoms like diarrhea, vomiting, shrinkage of larval body may also take place. Then comes the disease septicemia. Here the septicemia is caused by penetration and multiplication of certain kinds of bacteria in hemolymph, and the principal pathogenic bacteria are large and small bacilli, streptococci, staphylococci, etc. But the symptoms are like diarrhea, vomiting, shrinkage of larval body. And next is the Soto disease. It is caused by toxin Bacillus thuringiensis. The larvae becomes unconscious, soft and darkish, and rot off. Next is the infectious Flatchery, that is caused by the virus Morator, which does not form polyhedra in the body of silkworm larvae. The infection occurs mainly through the oral cavity, and the virus multiplies in the midgut and released into the gastric juice, that is further excreted in the feces. Then comes the Grassery disease, which is also known as jaundice or nuclear polyhedrosis. It is caused by a virus called Borrelia, which form polyhedra in the nuclei of the cells of fatty tissues, dermal tissues, muscles, tracheal membrane, basement membrane, epithelial cells of midgut, and blood corpuscles. The infected larvae lose appetite, become inactive, membranes become swollen, and the skins becomes tender and pools skin becomes tender and pus leaks out from the skin, and the larvae finally die. Then coming to the disease muscardine or calcino, which is again of three types. The white muscardine caused by fungus Beauveria bassiana. Here the larva loses appetite, body loses elasticity, and they cease to move and finally die. Next is the green muscardine. It is caused by Metarhizium species, and the larva loses appetite, appears yellowish, and become feeble and dies. Next, the yellow muscardine, which is caused by Escherichia farinosa, where many small black spots appear on the skin, and the larva loses appetite and dies. There are some pests which are associated with this disease are with the disease of silkworm are oozy flies, that is Tricholiga bombyces, where young maggots bore into the body of silkworm and live in and eat fat body for about a week, causing death of the silkworm. Then the dermestid beetles, the dermestid larvae and the adult feed on the cocoons of the silkworm. Then other predators are like ant, lizards, rats, squirrels are also there. After that, coming to the portion of reeling of silk. This is the technical division, and this involves the extraction and purification of silk fibers from cocoon, which is the last step for the sericulture. This is the energy consuming and time consuming step also. In this, only 30 to 40% cocoon of the rearing tray are allowed to complete their life cycle, while the rest are used for obtaining silk fiber. Means শুধু 30 to 40% কোকুন যাদের মধ্যে পিউপা থাকে ওদেরকে রেখে দেওয়া হয় লাইফ সাইকেলটাকে কমপ্লিট করার জন্য, এবং বাকি যত পিউপা কোকুন আছে এই সমস্ত কোকুনগুলোকে নিয়ে যাওয়া হয় সিল্ক এক্সট্রাকশন করার জন্য। So here the silk producers actually kill the pupa in the cocoon by using different methods like immersing the cocoons into the steam for few minutes, or by baking cocoons in a hot oven, or by placing the cocoons in the boiling water, or by freezing the cocoons to death. Here reeling of silk first involves the process of unwinding the filament from the cocoon, that is the reeling, and this process is carried out in a reeling plant where the cocoons are soaked in boiling water to soften the sedicin gum that is holding the filaments in the place. The cocoons are taken out of loose fluffy taken out and loose fluffy silk on outside is cleaned off, which is then used in production of spun silk yarn. The cocoons are again placed in hot water basin, and a lever use a brush or broom to push the cocoons up and down in the water until some loose end of filament becomes attached to the broom. ব্রাশ দিয়ে কোকুনগুলোকে কন্টিনিউয়াস উপরে নিচে করা হয়, জলের মধ্যে ঘোরানো হয় বারবার, যাতে সম্পূর্ণ ফিলামেন্টগুলো কোকুন থেকে আলাদা হয়ে যায়। The filament is drawn out gently, the cocoon tumbles around in water and gradually unreel itself. A single filament of silk is very fine. And then comes the process of throwing. It is a process in which two or more multifilament strands are combined and twisted together to form heavier threads. Then the process of degumming starts. The process of removing the sericin from raw silk or raw silk is called degumming. The natural sericin gum is normally left on silk during reeling, throwing, and waving. It acts as a size which protects the filament and the fibers from mechanical injury. The gum is removed from finished yarn by boiling with soap and water. Silk fabrics woven with sericin have a characteristic of stiffness and handle and dull in appearance. After degumming, silk acquire beautiful and luster. The glamour incorporates into the silk thread. One third of weight of fabric is lost when sericin gum is removed by this way. The raw silk with gum still on filament is called the hard silk. Then coming to the spun silk part. Here short length of silk fibers obtained from the various silk waste are not used in reeled silk, and in making thrown silk yarn, but these are spun into yarns just like cotton, linen, and wool yarns. So, spun silk yarns are strong, but they are less lustrous than reeled silk yarn and not as strong and elastic as reeled silk filament yarn. And finally, the re-railing and scanning process takes place, and we get the complete silk yarns for further manufacturing of our silk cloth material. With this, thank you all, and hope this video will make you in preparation of your Bombix Mori topic. Thank you.